Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Where we continue to follow the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden now.
Those are just some of the scenes overnight as thousands of Americans gathered in celebration of Osama bin Laden's death.
Former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill says he has thought about the mission every day since that May Day in 2011.
From multiple conversations you had with Rob O'Neill over the past year and a half, how'd you get
access? And you described that his head kind of exploded when you hit him.
I actually hit him 3 times because I shot him twice when he was standing and once on the ground.
That is the fucking American badass right there.
We are not going for fame and we are not going for bravado. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper.
If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
I'm Rob O'Neill, and this is the Operator Podcast. All right. Happy Friday. This is now episode 58 of the Operator Podcast. And we said we'd get to 57. Now we're at 58, which means that's one more, which is good. So we're on our way to something. I hope and I appreciate you spending time with me and listening to me run my yap on the Operator Podcast. And as always, I'm going to say some stuff, and I would like to get your feedback at Mchooyah, M-C-H-O-O-Y-A-H, on Twitter or Instagram, or at the Operator Podcast on Instagram, or you can even check out at RJO Apparel on Instagram too. Leave comments there. Hopefully we'll read them, and we'll try to be good to each other. And from one operator to another, if you disagree with me, tell me about it, and I will read it. I will listen, and if I disagree with you, then I will say so. If I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people aren't cordial. I will do that, and we can see where we can go from there, and maybe we'll make an episode 59. That'll be fun. But thanks for joining me. I've been traveling a little bit. That was fun. I went to Montana. I got to play some golf up there with some friends. A blast. Because of the show Yellowstone now, there is a flight that goes from there's a couple. I was on one actually the other way, but there's a direct flight from Bozeman, Montana, which is right outside of Yellowstone. Bozeman is not the capital of Montana. Helena is, not Helena. Helena. But the direct flight's nice because normally you have to spend a whole day flying to get to where my final destination was Butte, Montana, and then Anaconda, Montana, for some golf, to see some friends, to see some family, and to have a good time. And it was a blast. It's always good to get out there. It's good to get a little bit. Montana's one of those places where you can lose connection to the internet, and that's kind of nice because you're forced to talk to people and see people, and if you fuck up, that they're going to see you do it in person, which is great. And I've done that before. Seen them do it before. I went to an Irish music festival in Butte, Montana. I went to the Pekin Noodle Parlor. Pekin Noodle Parlor just won a James Beard Award. Saw my friend Jerry Tam up there. I'll talk about that a little bit later. The Henri Raw Irish Festival was fun. Saw some people, got some food, a couple drinks, played some golf. Saw Dr. Slick. I posted a video there. It was fun. Saw the parents, saw family, had a blast. I did make a mistake, though. I did find a spot somewhere up there in Montana where I found some service on the internet, and I'm just scrolling through, and I found a podcast where they had a special operator, talking to some former vets and former cops, or it might be current cops, but vets and cops. And for some reason, they did that thing that vets tend to do. They start dumping on each other. And I don't know why that is, because I love running into vets. I run into them all the time. I have a foundation called Special Operators Transition Foundation. I work with different foundations here and there, and it's always fun to get together. But for some reason, when we start talking about another vet, we have a tendency to dump on them and talk a little bit of shit. And I really wish that would stop, because there's enough people out there calling us bro vets that we can take a rap off it. If there's an issue, we can talk to each other. But I'm guilty of it too. I've done it before, and we're coming up on the horrible, the 2-year anniversary of the horrible retreat from Afghanistan, and I'm guilty of talking trash about senior officers, and I should do better about that and stuff. But one of the things I've noticed that sucks is that it's a lot of nobody seems to like to watch a veteran fail more than another veteran, and we really need to get away from that. We can be better to each other, because I know we're all the same personality. We should have thick skin. Sometimes we don't, but we all have. Most of them have great senses of humor. But there was a dude from one of the services that was saying that I was full of shit. I don't know why I paid attention. For some reason, I like put it up on my story. Like, wow. I mean, I don't even remember what I said, and I said something to them like, what the deuce, man? You can, if there's an issue, you can talk to me. And there are certain guys. Here's how I think a lot of this started way back in the day. This is before my name was officially released as killing bin Laden. The rumor was out there, and we were trying to think of a way to maybe work with it. But I was working with a dude from an Army Special Forces unit, the premier Special Forces unit, another Navy SEAL. Some drinks were involved. We're in a suite at the Ritz at Pentagon City, and there was a girl in there or whatever. And we were talking, and basically, for the veterans listening, being in this room was kind of like being in the military. Like a couple dudes, one girl, everyone's saying what they can to try to be the guy at the finish line. So I'm doing whatever. And we didn't know it, but she was recording us. And I got a dude there, and I said something stupid about, well, those guys don't do shit and whatever. We're the guys. You know how you say that? I'm the guy and all that shit. And she wasn't even hot, but she's the only one there. And she recorded it, and it got out, and I still feel bad because there's no way I'm going to say that someone didn't do something. If you've heard me talk before, you know what I'm like, and I really think that everybody has a piece in the machine at the it goes to the end. The tip of the spear is the salespeople, but of course with sales with us, the customer's always wrong. But there were some guys bashing me, and I answered them, and I don't give a fuck. I've never thought about these guys. I never will again. I shouldn't be talking about them now, but because I mentioned them, they got a lot of clicks, and that got them excited. And first of all, that's flattering, man. If trashing me is going to get you likes, do it. That's awesome. Because we make fun of each other all the time. Marines don't actually eat crayons, but we make fun of them. Now, Marines do come up to Navy and say, every time we need to fight, you guys give us always give us a ride. We love you. And then the thing with the submariners, like 100 sailors go down and 50 couples come back. We do give each other some shit, but yeah, this seemed to give this group another 1,000 followers. And if you need to dump on me, that's fine. And if I can help you make more money, and if I can help you pay the rent, I'm flattered. And even though they even say Navy SEALs just write books, that's true, we do. And if you want one of mine, go to RJO Apparel, and I'll even autograph it for you. Having said what I just said, get creative. RJO Apparel. I can do whatever you want. If you need me to be clickbait, if I need to be the fall guy, I'm happy to be the hero again. But anyway, speaking of, before we get into what we're going to talk about, because there's a lot of stuff going on around the country, around the world, out in Hawaii, in politics. It is Friday, so everyone should be excited. But I got to pay my bills too, so I need to talk about staying prepared and hyperinflation. And if you're sick and tired of the web of lies being spun all over the place when you turn on the TV and look at stuff like that by this government concealing the truth about inflation and the value of the dollar, I am certain that market volatility fills you with worry, casting doubt on your ability to retire comfortably. I urge you to look for a secure and reliable investment option for your retirement. Imagine a future where your retirement is protected from the storms of market volatility and erosive forces of inflation, recession, government meddling, and economic uncertainties. Imagine retiring with peace of mind and the freedom to pursue your own dreams. That future, my dear friends, can become your reality courtesy of my friends at Allegiance Gold. Why? Because gold has stood the test of time as a safe haven investment. And now, more than ever, folks, with the recent downgrade of the credit worthiness of the U.S. and the largest mortgage lenders, you see how high those interest rates are? You need that safety and insurance for what you have worked so hard for. Remember, when it comes to protecting your IRA or 401k, trust the best. That's why my friends at Allegiance Gold have the highest ratings in the precious metals industry. 5 stars with TrustLink, a AAA rating with the Business Consumer Alliance, and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You can invest with confidence because Allegiance Gold builds relationships based on integrity, quality, and impeccable service. So get a load of this. Get up to $5,000 in free silver on a qualifying purchase when you visit ProtectWithTheOperator.com today. Or give them a call at 844-790-9191. Don't wait. Take control of your retirement today. 844-790-9191. You call that, and you can speak with one of their experts. They'll answer all of your questions and help you get started on the path to a more secure and prosperous retirement. Time is of the essence. Protect your future with Allegiance Gold. Go to my favorite website, ProtectWithTheOperator.com. ProtectWithTheOperator.com, or call them today, 844-790-9191. 844-790-9191. Yes, but it is episode 58, and I'm very excited to have you back here. It's a lot of fun. It's good to be back in studio. Like I said, I travel. I did a little bit of traveling recently. I'm going to travel again next week. A couple things to do here and there. It should be fun. It's good to get out around the country and see what kind of misadventures it's possible to get into. The golf is good in Montana. That was fun. But now we're just back today to talk about 58 again with my notes here. A lot of stuff going on out there, and we were talking about the internet too, and a lot more people are getting on the internet. I don't mean a lot more people, but like a lot more people than were, because all the cool kids are out there doing the TikToks and the whatnots and all that stuff. I'm still not on TikTok yet. I don't think I'm going to, just because of the Chinese espionage and whatnot. I'm a big believer that they have an algorithm in there that's different for our kids, that's different than the algorithm for their kids. And their kids are only allowed to watch a certain amount of time on TikTok, but what they're watching is all pro-Chinese, all pro-military, and all pro-taking over the world, whereas ours, if you notice, in between those hilarious videos, it's telling you how bad your country is and how divided we are. And that's part of the Communist Manifesto. I mean, that's part of their deal, divide and conquer, and they're doing a pretty good job of that online. Once you get outside and get amongst the folks, we actually realize how good we are. Did you see Vivek Ramaswamy's talk with the transgender activist? And I hope I'm getting this right. How was crazy. And they both got praised as they were, get a load of this, they had a conversation. Weird. Nobody was screaming at each other. No one was hitting someone with a bullhorn and a bike, and the other guy shouting them down with calling them names. But they actually talked about their differences, and that was weird. And I think a lot more people than you realize is like that. I think the silent majority gets along with each other. But it's good to get out there, get amongst the TikToks. But like I was saying, a lot of new people are getting onto these platforms and realize, in my age group too, a lot of guys, because I got out early. I got out of the Navy just under 17 years, and you need to do 20 to get a retirement, and that's fine. But I got out early. But and again too, with that, why do I keep bringing this up? When people talk about the Bin Laden raid and they'll say someone said I was full of shit, it's like, let's just play devil's advocate and say that was true. It's not like I graduated boot camp and then went right to Abbottabad, Pakistan. Like, a lot of shit happened in between there. I mean, even if we got to the point, okay, so you admit I was at least in Bin Laden's room, that's kind of cool. But no, I mean, but I went on to the deployment after. Bin Laden wasn't even the last guy I killed with a gun I was carrying. There was a dude, he was a Taliban guy, not even Al-Qaeda. He was the driver of I think a Subaru in the snow. Kick-ass story. But the point I'm getting at is, like, a lot happens in between there. Like, believe it or not, people, not even SEALs, have written books about their training they've done. Because there was a long, long time where no one even went to war, but a lot of guys wrote books. There's this weird section in a Barnes, and I don't know why I'm letting this get to me. There's this weird section like in Barnes & Nobles, and it says military history. And my book's not the only one in there. There's a whole bunch of them. Isn't that cool? But the point I was getting at is a lot of guys now, because I got advice, and I'm name dropping the fuck out of this. I got some advice right after I got out of the Navy. It was my friend Marcus Luttrell, who had gotten the lone survivor, who had gotten out before me. I was on that mission too. And he said those are the two missions I've been on. I was on the lone survivor rescue, on the recovery. There was a lot of guys on that the recovery, and then I was on the Bin Laden raid. And I was also the lead jumper for the Captain Phillips raid, and then 397 other ones. Anyway, but basically those two. But Marcus had some. I'm fucking with you guys. Marcus made a good point to me. He said, because when you get out of the Navy, that's part of what my foundation does. It's called Special Operators Transition Foundation. It was initially called Your Grateful Nation. No one really knew what that meant, so we named it. We named it Special Operators Transition Foundation before transition started meaning something else. But there is a transition period from the military to the private sector where you're not really sure what you're going to do. And some of the advice Marcus gave me was, you got to realize that once you leave, the Navy's no longer going to pay. They're not paying the bills. They're not keeping the lights on, and you need to get a job. I'm assuming you just signed a 30-year mortgage. You're going to need to get a job. You're going to need to use your resume, and that's really, really good advice, because as much as people want to just be the silent professional and not say a word, you're going to get hired if you tell people what you did, right? I think so anyway. So Marcus told me that, and with that, myself and a lot of other veterans with Special Operators Transition Foundation were able to assist men and women into the private sector. Not like we need to tie their shoes, just say, here's the proper verbiage for a resume, spit the shit out and don't say F all the time and whatever, all that stuff. But life goes on. And my thing with the Navy was I went in through the front door. I'm leaving through the front door. So the point is, I did one more deployment after Bin Laden just to depart the Navy. But what's fun about the internet, and I'm getting to a point. I'm getting to my elbow by going around my ass here. Guys now are at the retirement age where you just got to get out. Now what am I going to do? And they're finding the internet, and they're finding that Instagram can be fun. And you can post pictures, and it's fun, and you get likes. And there's these things called podcasts that you can get on. And if you get on a podcast, you can get lured down that rabbit hole. And some, not on this one, but some podcasts are having cocktails, and sometimes you get frisky with the realization that it's just, there's just three of us in a room. I can say whatever I want, but if it goes viral, which it can, and I've been viral a few times with stuff that, oopsie poopsie, my mugshot's out there, employee of the month type shit. But you have a tendency to go down the rabbit hole talking shit, and I can't keep going back to this. But the one I kept mentioning is if you're on a podcast bragging about how you're so quiet, you're kind of defeating yourself. Just own it. Like, okay, I'm on the internet now, and I'm talking shit now, and I'm on a podcast now. You might as well just go for it and write a book if your stories are any good and anybody cares. Do that. So that's a lot of fun. Montana travel, the internet's a blast. One of the things I was reading about, because what I like to do, and try this. I'm an avid reader, but I also love audiobooks. I like to clean the house, listen to audiobooks, take notes, and find fun stuff, and even not get on other people's podcasts, but listen to others' podcasts, listen to others' books, and you can get headlines, you can get opinions on stuff, and sort of, I like, get an opinion and then get another opinion and then make your own opinion, which is a crazy thought. You don't need to follow the herd, which we are herd animals sometimes. Don't do that. But one of the stories that I was cleaning my kitchen or something, or half asleep or something, and the story came up of Janet Yellen was in China in July. And she kind of runs the finances in this country. She's in charge of the pocketbook, which doesn't mean much, because money's free, especially if you're in its administration now. You can give as much money to anyone you want. You can sell paintings and the like. But she's the first woman to be named the U.S. Treasury Secretary. And when she went over in July to China, what a lot of our politicians, you won't see Chinese politicians doing this shit. They are straight-faced as if their life depended on it, because it does. But a lot of our leaders like to bow to other leaders. Not lately. Not Donald Trump, by the way. but I'm not naming names, but Janet Yellen was one of them, and I'm talking like bound like a motherfucker. And it's like, well, you shouldn't do that because you're instantly showing your hands, and there's no deterrent, the secretary, whatever, finance, go to China when they're trying to take over the dollar anyway. But she also said that 70% of Americans are comfortable with their financial situation right now. Now, is that true? Okay. I'm not even going to say where I'm at financially, and I don't have any stats in front of me because I'm all over the place as far as my notes. Just ask yourself, are you comfortable with your financial situation? Have the things that have gotten more expensive, do they bother you right now? Or are you just good? Kind of roll over, don't check the price, go out to dinner every night. You good with that? Or is it hurting? Is inflation getting to you? Are the interest rates at 8%? Highest they've been in 3 decades? Is that good? But she's over there bowing to people, and they do what they always do. They either deflect it or say, everything's fine, you're good stuff. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And it's frustrating, and politics will always be frustrating. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. And our brains are wired differently. That's fine. If we can talk to each other instead of shouting each other down. And I think communism's bad, and I don't think my brain's wired that nuts, at least as far as that's concerned. But for her to say 70% of Americans are just fine with it, I think is BS. And for like Karine Jean-Pierre to just say, well, we've addressed this. And here's, when you play poker and there's a thing called a tell. It's when like you do something, you wipe your nose, it means you're bluffing or whatever. Here's a tell. Whenever anyone in this administration says, now we've been very clear. They haven't been very clear. And that's, or they deflect to somebody else. That's one of their tells, though. Well, the president's addressed this, or we're going to wait till we hear from this about that. Just deflect. And thank God the press doesn't hold anyone accountable right now. Anyone in the administration. I'm getting to a point. The point is, she admitted, and this kind of makes me like Janet Yellen. She admitted that she says inadvertently, but apparently she ate some magic mushrooms over there. She ate some hallucinogenic mushrooms in some soup or whatever. And I guess the Chinese translated to English is sea-hand blue. So she's throwing down over there. And hey, next thing you know, you're spouting out bad stats and bowing to people and chilling with the homies. But that's that. So that's an explanation, I think, at least. Mushroom, but the hallucinogenics, man, maybe that's the answer. Because certainly getting sober in the streets and yelling at each other and then throwing people in solitary confinement for really doing nothing, maybe mushrooms. Let's do this. And also, as usual, I am sort of bouncing around all over the place. I do have my trusty notes that I sometimes follow, and then it goes all off in a handbasket or on a handbasket. It goes out the window, basically. But going to Montana was a blast. I mentioned the flight. I also, when I was up there, and this is taken off. There's a store. If you haven't been to Montana, there's a group of stores called Town Pump by my friends, the Kennelly family. Some of my family works there as accountants. I have a lot of accountants in my family, which tells you how fucking riveting we are. A lot of accountants, but this place is called Town Pump, and it kind of runs the show. It's like a Montana's version of Wawa. But one thing they sell there is Black Buffalo. That's the one I'm telling you about that's taken over. Black Buffalo is you've probably heard a lot of podcasters talk about a lot. It's getting out there. Some MMA fighters are talking about it. Black Buffalo is it's a dip without the tobacco, because a lot of us guys go to the range, dip, and a lot of guys grew up dipping, especially up in Montana. Miners dip. And we want to get away from the tobacco, but we love the sensation. So Black Buffalo is everything you love about dip, but nothing that you don't. And it comes in long cut pouches, both with and without pharmaceutical grade nicotine. Made out of edible green leaves, though. Food grade ingredients, which I dig, because even if you have to not spit, even though spitting's part of the ritual, you can gut it. It's veggies. You're getting your veggies on. Wintergreen peach straight comes in pouches. Blood orange. It actually goes, it sells online too at blackbuffalo.com, and they can deliver it right to your door. Thousands of stores on blackbuffalo.com. There's store locators. Check those out where you can get it. It's born in the Midwest, raised in the South. So if you're a dipper over 21 and you want to get away from tobacco, but you like the ritual, check out blackbuffalo.com. Use code THEOPERATOR at checkout for 15% off your first order. BlackBuffalo.com, code TheOperator. Honor your rituals. Born in the Midwest, like I said, raised in the South. Black Buffalo. Definitely check it out. You'll dig it. Throwing people into solitary confinement, too. That's kind of the new jam. What I was talking about was from January 6th, the worst terrorist attack in the history of the United States, when a bunch of old ladies and stuff went into... where's Ray Epps, by the way? Anyone talk to that dude? The guy that was kind of running the whole thing, all those feds? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that? But because there's pictures out there of this dude that was in solitary confinement, and they moved him from D.C. hellhole to Philadelphia, literally in a closet with a mat, and the lights were on the entire time. And he had one of those, we called him a Cadillac in the Navy, those yellow mop buckets. He had one of those. That's what he can go pee-pee and poo-poo in. The lights were on the whole time. No books, because he could kill himself. Nothing to read, nothing to do. He's in solitary confinement. It's like 2.5 years without being charged with anything. No trial by his peers. Nothing. Just dudes in jail because they went to the Capitol. Ashley Babbitt was murdered by a cop that shot a negligent discharge. A cop that took a shot that if he was on a range that I was running, I would have fired him. But he took that shot because he was scared for his life because people were yelling too loud or something like that. What am I getting at? There's up in New York. I'm talking about solitary confinement, and I mentioned a hellhole. I was reading this just now. It says they're looking. Mayor Eric Adams in New York is looking to house. They call them migrants. They're illegal aliens from I don't know how many countries. But people are coming to this country because there's no deterrent. The borders are open. And it's not like build a wall is going to work. You can't just build a wall across the entire southern border, but a deterrent by, I don't know, not paying them for coming here might work. But what Democrats are doing is they want all of these people to rush the country because eventually they'll vote. And not that matters, because there's dudes... I'm not getting into it right now because I don't want to end up in solitary confinement. But there's videos of dudes putting all these absentee ballots during that biological war that China declared on us when they put that thing in the world to see how we'd respond. We didn't respond well. Anyway, all these people are coming to the United States because we give them free shit, basically, and that's kind of the way it works. But New York City Mayor Eric Adams seeks to house migrants in notorious Manhattan. They call it MCC. What does that stand for? It's the jail where Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Because I'm just going to read this article to you. Embattled New York City mayor. Embattled is a good word. Embattled New York City mayor. Eric Adams is reportedly turning to the abandoned hellhole prison where Jeffrey Epstein killed himself as a solution to housing the relentless influx of migrants being bussed into the Big Apple. The relentless influx of migrants. Now, why are they coming here? Have you thought about that? It's the same thing with is inflation bad? Are prices high? No, they're not. Yes, they are. Anyway, the mayor has scrambled for months to find space for at least 58,000 asylum seekers who have been shuttled to the city from states such as Texas after they crossed the southern border. Have been shuttled, yeah, because it's Texas's fault. We haven't been saying this the whole time. Hey, you got to do something about the border. People are coming in, and I'm not blaming them. But you got to figure it's the same thing with criminals. If you keep letting criminals out of with no bail out of prison, you don't do whatever, they're going to rob Nordstrom, or is it burglarize? I don't know. They robbed the shit out of Nordstrom, but they're going to do that. And if you keep the borders open, they're going to keep coming here. And it's almost like, you can't send them to Martha's Vineyard because God forbid they go to rich white liberals' houses. But they're going to come. I would do the same thing. If I'm growing up in Honduras and it sucks there, and oh my God, why does it suck there? Because there's socialism. Anyway, I would come to the United States too. I'm not blaming the migrants or the illegal aliens or whatever we're calling them. But his latest idea is to use Manhattan's infamous Metropolitan Correctional Center, so MCC we're going to call it. His latest idea is to use Manhattan's infamous Metropolitan Correctional Center, often referred to as MCC, which closed down in 2021 following a slew of scandals and complaints over filthy conditions. If Governor Kathy Hochul approves his request, refugees mainly from South America, mainly, also from Pakistan, also from Indonesia, also from Afghanistan. If I was a terrorist too, America, mainly from South America, will find themselves in a facility with a morbid history plagued, I'm putting my own words there, by allegations of rat infestations and sewage floods. Now, I lived in New York for a long time in Manhattan, and there are rats and there are sewage floods. It remains to be seen if Adams will successfully move migrants into cells. However, after his attempt earlier this year to shift asylum seekers to the Brooklyn cruise terminal fell apart when refugees refused to go. Because they wouldn't go, because now that they're here, why would you? But basically what they're saying, it's almost two birds with one stone. What they're saying is the migrants are here, but they can't go to the cell because it's nasty. And they had to close the nasty cells down because Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. You see what they're doing there? It's like, one of the most secure jails in the country. Both guards fell asleep and the cameras were not on. And then Epstein killed himself. Why would he do that? And the only I think we're opening up a whole new can of worms here. The only person who got in trouble for what Epstein did is Ghislaine Maxwell, or whatever her name is, and so she's in prison with a list of names, but no one else has been charged. And they had to close the prison because it's too nasty, and they can't even put migrants there. But these, why are they here? They're here because of these, the same reason that San Francisco's a shithole. Because it sounds good on paper, and it might get you votes, but people like Gavin Newsom, who was the mayor of San Francisco, now the governor of California, turning probably one of the most beautiful places in the world into a complete shithole because of policies that he strikes me as a smart guy with nice hair. You got to see this coming. Handing out needles, giving places where anyone can show up and get drugs for free. The city council, it's going to come back to haunt you. And that's what it's doing now. It doesn't even sound nice, but the reason that Democrats want all of these migrants, all of these illegals to come here is so that they can eventually vote for them, because what is the end game? Power. They will vote Democrat. Maybe. And again, a lot of politicians aren't smart. A lot of far lefties aren't smart because socialism's never worked. What I think might happen, it's going to bite them it always bites them in the ass because okay, again, the Operator Podcast, if you can think of anything that I say that you did with which you disagree, at Makuya, at the Operator Podcast, tell me what I'm saying wrong, and I want to hear from you. What I would like to hear, and I'm being truthful, and I am a registered independent. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I'm an independent. I'm an American. What I would like you to do, and I'm being truthful. I hate politics. I despise the city of Washington, D.C. If you can think of one thing that Democrats have come up with that's worked, please tell me. And I'm being sincere. What has worked that they've done? And I'm not talking about John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was a no-shit, real blue-collar Democrat, and that's why they killed him. That's why we killed him. Boy, that's an entire other episode. But yeah, come up with something that's worked. So the free needles didn't work. The sanctuary cities didn't work. None of this worked. What's going to happen, too, you're going to find is now, the coyotes are running, and I don't even want to get into the sex trafficking shit. That I didn't even realize what a huge deal that was. I honest to God didn't realize that it was that huge of a thing, and it's horrible. But the coyotes are running stuff. The drugs are coming through. Obviously, the fentanyl's coming through. Worse drugs are coming through. Armed cartel members are coming across the border. You see it all the time. We can't do shit because we're well, let's be honest, we're a bunch of pussies. But in the mix, there are families coming through from different countries, and they legit want to find a better life for their families. What the Democrats are going to find out is that these are families that a lot of them are Christian. A lot of them from South America, Central America are Christians. A lot of them have family values, which is crazy. A lot of them believe that a man and a woman are different, and they pray and they're a family. What if they get the chance to vote? You know what the Democrats are going to find is they're going to start voting the opposite direction, because the new Democratic Party are a bunch of fucking wackos. I mean, again, if I'm wrong, tell me. And like I said, I get along with people outside of the internet. Tell me I'm wrong. But so now, their plan is they're not only because of political reasons, they're saying that this is a hellhole, rat infested. Which, if you've never been to New York, the whole thing is. But they had to close it down. But now they might reopen it to put migrants in. But now the migrants are refusing to go because at the end of the day, they're people, which is crazy. I mean, that's not crazy that they're people, but that's where they're at. And then you got the governor of New York, and now they're scrambling. The only thing that's happening, the only place these migrants aren't going, if you've noticed, is on the beach, to the beach houses and the beach communities, because that's where the white, pissed off, offended liberals live, where the seas are rising, but they're not. But they are, but they're not. And that's that. And out in Hawaii too, you'll notice guys like John Podesta, who's a Clinton guy, and again, I don't want to say Clinton too loud because God forbid. But John Podesta was on there, and he's something I forget what he is. He's I'm sure he's a climate czar somewhere, just like John Kerry and his long face, talking about these. They're turning Hawaii into climate change. These everything because of the climate. Because now it's hot in Phoenix, and it's hot in Texas, and now it's hot in Hawaii, and these gale force winds are blowing these fires. And you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're not doing it today. How did those fires in Hawaii start? And why are the rich people's houses, why didn't they get incinerated? Just food for thought. And two other things of note. I had the opportunity, the pleasure actually, to get on Newsmax yesterday with my brother Drago Duran. I interviewed him I got to look up the episodes, but definitely check that out. One of the most amazing stories I've ever heard. Navy SEAL is the least impressive thing he's ever done. He wrote a book that's out now called The Pledge to America. If you don't recall, Drago grew up in occupied communist Poland, went to communist prison as a political prisoner, escaped there, insane stories of what he went through, became a Navy SEAL, went to Iraq. I deployed with him many times, one of the finest humans I've ever had the pleasure of getting to know. The Pledge to America is his book. Read that. But I was on with he and Carl Higbee last night on Newsmax, and it was great to get three combat Navy SEALs. That's a real panel, by the way. 3 enlisted Navy SEALs talking about what's what, because normally you get a lot of guys that have stars on their shoulders and then they go work for big contractors and make a shit ton of money because we keep war going. And we keep the threat of war going. Not the case with us. We were talking about a dude called Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who is the mastermind of 9/11. He was a mastermind of the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. He's been involved with Al Qaeda, Osama bin Laden's associate, for a long, long time. There was a thing called the Bojinka plot involved to hijack an aircraft, using it as a missile to attack the CIA. He talked about getting stuff from Europe, flying over the oceans to bomb. He's an asshole. The guy's a piece of shit. But here's the thing. He's a believer. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM, is a believer. Meaning people love him. A lot of people love him because he believes in the cause, and he's not afraid to die. He was someone that told an interrogator, because he's been waterboarded I don't know how many times, not enough, but he's been waterboarded a lot, and he would calmly explain to people that the waterboarding sucks, by the way. It's not torture, it just sucks. But he calmly explained that you're not going to win the hearts and minds off of believers with milk and cookies and tea. And that's what we try to do. We'll sit there with them and offer this shit, not realizing what these people actually believe, but they truly believe that we are Satan. We're the great Satan and Israel's the little Satan. That's what they, and I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Think about when you go to Thanksgiving and you can't talk politics because your crazy aunt is a lunatic, but she really believes what she's saying. That's Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's crazier, and so are his followers. And he's down in Guantanamo Bay, and what they're saying right now is they're not going to. They might take the death penalty off the table. It was on the table. First of all, they rolled him up in 2003. That was like right after 9/11, right? Why is he still alive? And why? Okay, here's a question that you should ask yourself. Why are American lawyers in the military defending him? Why are civilian lawyers in America defending him? I think that if you're a scumbag defense attorney at defending Al-Qaeda, you should be required, at least by law. I mean, if we can put guys that didn't really do anything in solitary confinement, yet Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is on a Caribbean island, gets to pray 5 times a day, play football, and hang out with his boys and spit on guards. These lawyers should be forced to watch people jumping out of the towers every single day when they wake up, because that's what this guy did, and they giggled about it. They think it's cute. So now we're so far away from 9/11 that we just there are people now on the internet convinced that it wasn't even Al-Qaeda that did it. It was someone else that did it. 9/11 was an inside job, and I'm not even getting into that bullshit. Regardless, people were jumping out of the towers. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was happy with that. Why is he still alive? I'll go do it. If we don't need to give him an alcohol swab on his arm when we give him a lethal injection. I'll go down there with a damn. We used to have this thing when I was growing up called a fishing whacker. It was a little club, and you catch a fish and you club them. That's easy. That's cheap. I think that thing's like $3.99. I can find one at a convenience store in Butte, Montana. I'll go grab one of those. Fly me to Gitmo. I'll chill out in Cuba. I'll knock the piss out of them. That's it. It's not hard. But now they're saying that they're going to take the death penalty off the table, and he's going to chill there, and then we'll forget about him. I mean, because what those dudes that said the election was rigged and they went to yell at Congress people, that was a bit greater terrorist attack than 9/11. But anyway, I was on there with Drago. Check out his book. He's awesome. His story's incredible. He's just a wonderful man. But we did that, and then after I went to did that on television, I went down to Manhattan yesterday, and I was able to hang out with Jay Redman, who's a complete war hero, and Ray Kashkar, former Navy SEAL, Jeff Gum, Sunga Life, because they're in town. Get a load of this for they call it the New York City SEAL Swim, and what these dudes do, it starts at Liberty State Park in New Jersey. And they finish at the World Trade Center in New York. And these guys get in the Hudson, and they swim. Now, earlier, we were talking about New York being rat-infested and dirty. They're going to go swim in the Hudson. That's fine. Hudson's pretty dirty. I lived in Manhattan for 3 years, and I've seen what I personally have put in the Hudson. But they're doing it. They get in there, and it's a very cool very cool thing. The guys get in the water. There's something along they do a bunch of pull-ups, a bunch of push-ups. McBee's going to be there. If you haven't seen McTeams, if you don't follow McTeams on Instagram, definitely follow him. Very creative guy. He's going to be there. He's a great swimmer too. I won't be there. If you need to find me, if you absolutely need to find Nisro, find Robert J. O'Neill. What I would like you to not do, don't check the Hudson. Do not check a movie theater where Barbie is playing. I'm saving you time. I won't be in either one of those places. But I might meet up with these guys. But the swim will support over 30 essential Navy SEAL Foundation programs for SEAL community active duty veterans and their families. And a portion of the proceeds go to the Uncommon Grit Foundation, which is what McTeams supports. You can check out, go to Navy SEAL Swim. I think it's the Navy SEAL Foundation. But they're going to be in the water tomorrow. I might go there. I know some buddies that are NYPD, former NYPD. My buddy Eitan Sugarman owns Made New York Pizza, a couple of those joints. around New York. I'm a good enough swimmer to grab guys out of the water and bring them to have made in New York pizza. That's kind of how I roll. But they're going to be doing that. It's going to be on TV. I'm sure some of the major networks, they're going to be swimming. It's going to be fun. I might go down there, but it's going to be cool. That's kind of what we've been up to. It is Friday. I'm going to keep this short. But that's what we've been doing. That's what the Operator Podcast is up to. If you're around the New York City area, White Horse Pub, the second oldest pub in New York, we might be there tomorrow. We might not. I don't know. I'm not projecting where I'm going to be. But New York's great. What I love about New York is doesn't matter where you are in the world. And again, I'm talking shit about the mayor, talking trash about the governor of New York, but New York's New York. And I love New York because it's the city. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you say I'm going to this city, you're going to New York. I'm going to be in the city. And the city. I'm not sure if I gave you my theory on because I had a place in Nashville too. I've lived all over the Virginia Beach, Nashville, New York, Texas, Montana. I'm convinced that Southern hospitality is bullshit. Southern hospitality is a nice way to be a dick. And the city's the city. An example is if you get a flat tire in the South, someone will walk past you, probably very well dressed, and say, "Oh, ain't that a shame?" And they'll walk past you. Where in New York, if you get a flat tire, someone will look at you and go, "Oh, move over, you fucking idiot. Let me do it." New Yorkers are not rude. They're just honest. So the swim's tomorrow. It's in the Hudson. I think, the Hudson is so dirty, I think you could actually walk across it. I won't be there, but I might be getting made New York pizza. Eitan Sugarman will be down there somewhere. I'm going to find him. White Horse Pub. Bunch of Navy SEALs. If you need Navy SEAls, they're the guys with their abs have abs, so you can find them. Definitely check it out, though. It starts very early in the morning. Hope I'm down there. And if you can swim in the Hudson, if you can manage to have a cocktail and not talk shit about your fellow veterans, you're never out of the fight.